hours of my life.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Office Hours, episode 727. And we're in flight this morning with the incredible Blaine Bartlett, right off of the set of Office Hours, the TV show with SiriusXM in the Wynn at Las Vegas, taking possibilities and making them reality. That's what Blaine's been doing for me and millions of other people throughout his career at Blaine Bartlett. Blaine, thanks for joining me.
Hey, buddy, my pleasure. I would not miss this for all of tea in China.
Well, you know, it's so much fun having you in set, in person, and I know what and how valuable your time is, but it's so valuable to us to have you integrated and collaborating with the neighborhood in person because a lot of times people only see you here and they really don't get the same experience as when they have Blaine Bartlett in person and the conversations that you have and the aptitude that you bring to help other people. And you spent 48 hours with us helping other people, which was, you know, the feedback I got invaluable to everyone. Is there a difference? You know, we're a little bit more experienced than things before they had any virtual meetings. A virtual meeting was a phone call from a hard line, a landline, believe it or not, for still most of our career. That's how quickly technology has changed. Most of our career communication that wasn't in person was a landline phone call. And so you can imagine what that means. But what is the difference today when you're in person comparatively to the ubiquity of virtual communication?
A great question. You know, actually, our incredible producer, Gigi, had just asked me what the takeaway was from the last 2 days when we were in Las Vegas filming. And, and I just stopped for a moment and I thought about that and I was going to be kind of flippant with it. But I think there were two things that came to mind for me. One was the genuine curiosity that was kind of engendered in people just having conversations around, as there were pockets of conversation everywhere, live conversations, and you could overhear something and kind of go, ooh, I want to, either add to that or I want to, kind of come back into that and ask a couple of questions here. But the real takeaway had to do with the generation of community. Yeah, and and I've got to take my hat off to you. I already have, but you have curated a phenomenal community. And I think it really comes into relief, not only when we're doing the filming, but when we're, at the dinners that you host. The community experience is rich, it's deep, and I use the word curated. These just from a frequency standpoint. I'd love hanging there. I really do.
It is such a great energy. One of the other interesting things for me is you've been a mentor, a friend, a family member now for so long that it's taken on, especially considering Compassionate Capitalism, the book that we wrote. You really wrote it, but had my input to it. And the reason that you asked me to do it, when I asked you why would you need me or want me to do it, and this was, I ran a company called Sports One Marketing with Warren Moon, and you said because your business exemplifies this idea. You have these stories, and I hadn't seen somebody that actually, walks the walk when it comes to that idea. And along the way, of course, there's people that don't see or just assume through skepticism or negativity, oh yeah, this is just a show, this is just a marketing ploy, Dave Meltzer's mission's not real. And it takes time, and people either come around or they fall away from that idea. and which is protection to me and lessons for me. But it was really fun for me because as I've been doing this so long now, and I'm very steadfast in my certainty of my definiteness of purpose when it comes to my mission and this curation, not only of a neighborhood or a community, but a curation of a company. Um, and as you have worked with some of my executives and seen the maturation, the understanding, of employees who play checkers while you're trying to play chess, it causes
Yeah.
this separation. But it was fun for me because I sat back and thought to myself, as you were sitting in the green room, you were sitting at the VIP dinner, you were sitting as a spotlight, you were sitting as a co-host, getting the full experience of what we've curated with office hours. I thought to myself, res ipsa loquitur, right? That which speaks for itself.
Yep.
I sat there almost thinking, gosh, I'm kind of showing off for Blaine. Like I'm showing him what his ideas put into collaboration with my ideas could manifest or to materialize or monetize. And, unabashedly, my mission is to create great wealth, to help a lot of people and have a lot of fun.
Yep.
And, you know, I will put up what we just did in the last 48 hours in the context of the subtleties, which I know you noticed, of the efficiencies, the collaboration and coordination and execution of this mission where we were making a lot of money, helping a lot of people. And I don't think anyone that shows up could
A
doubt,
little bit of fun.
yeah, a lot of fun for me. And I've done it now with very little disease. I flew home last night and, Julie picked me up and she said, "All right, you must be exhausted." I said, "No, exhilarated is probably the better adjective." She said, "David, you flew at 2:20 on Monday to Phoenix, did a meetup, had a VIP dinner, flew out, landed at 1 a.m., was on a show at 5:30 in the gym, 4 coaching calls, and then started the show all the way through. And here it is, 7 p.m. And you're telling me that you're not exhausted." And I said, "Absolutely not," because it
Yeah.
was easy. There was very little dis-ease. Our guests are pouring in to that measure. Uh, I will get your feedback on if you saw what I saw. And, I was so proud of our team for the collaboration, coordination, and execution in our mission. But yes, the commissions always follow in our mission. So thank you for contributing. Aaron's here, and if not, so is our next guest. So there he goes. All
There
righty.
we go. Got him.
All right,
Good.
we're gonna go fast here. My friend in San Diego, Aaron Spivak, is in the house. We'll be down there tomorrow doing a meetup in Mission Beach. So hopefully Aaron can come in person and I can make up the shorter segment here early morning. I don't know why they book California guys at 5 a.m., but I guess they push it. He's the co-founder at Hush Blankets and CROSSNET, the #1 founders club, #1 community for high growth founders. I think he should join our community. We need to join more forces. Welcome, Aaron, to Office Hours.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Good morning. Thanks for waking up early. Well, you are the classic entrepreneur who started, with $4,000 and I think ending up with $48 million of a successful exit. Not a bad run, even in Canadian dollars. It's probably worth a little bit still. And, to that end, you're utilizing, as we do, your success to help other people. You and I are sleep fanatics as well. Give me an idea of what the Founders Club is and the frequency of that community.
Yeah, I think there's a couple easy ways to describe it. I would say it's probably the best place for a high growth founder doing 7, 8, and 9 figures, to be, that's again not coaching, not necessarily mentorship, but it's actually just being surrounded by like-minded individuals who are maybe a couple steps ahead of you, a couple steps to the left of you, who can literally, as we all know, sometimes we're just one conversation away from massive breakthroughs in our business. And they come, hundreds of times a day behind the four walls of the community. We spend a lot of time together in person. It's both virtual and in person. We've got about 350 members. And it basically all just started on the back of my own story when I sold my business. I was only 25 years old, and I tell people, I found my M&A lawyer on a Google search, and people can't really believe it, but I didn't know anyone. I didn't. My parents were not really in business. My dad drove a truck for 25 years, and I thought that being on a deserted island was what's needed for an entrepreneur. And the truth is, that's not what needs to happen. We should be able to be surrounded by people who are in the trenches just like us, supporting each other, helping each other, enabling each other to get to the next level. And in the first year and a half of the Founders Club, we've seen massive, massive breakthroughs. I tell people it feels like YPO 90 years ago, when they first started. And the group continues to grow every day with a highly vetted group, and it's amazing.
It's so
You know,
interesting, Blaine. We were just discussing this, and that our missions are so aligned, Blaine and ours, in that exact. I always say I'm building a neighborhood of people that want to help each other and know people that help each other, a curated community. I think the only difference is I have three different buckets of that. I have the free community, so those are not the Founders Club type of members. Then I have a curated community for those startup people that aren't quite there yet, and then I have the high level Founders Club type of community as well, that we curate, and then we have separate virtual instances and over 200 events, as you'll see. You hope I'm going to invite you to come and see a meetup, which is for the free environment, where literally people come just to meet people who want to help each other and know people who help each other. Blaine, go ahead. I know this is fascinating for you as well.
yeah, yeah, you'd mentioned IPO, Aaron, and there's two pieces to this. One is just to lay the groundwork for the question, but uh, my experience with successful, entrepreneurs is that when they begin to look at the question of how do I scale, my business, the first default oftentimes is, okay, I need to be better at what I've been doing in order to scale more effectively. And those that really have leaped the chasm let go of the notion that they needed to be better, because that was only going to get them an iterative version of what they already had. They needed to be different as both a leader, but also they needed to be different in terms of how they were approaching their business, thinking about it. So with that kind of a contextual table here, you'd mentioned IPO, and I've worked with IPO and over the years. How
Why PO?
Well, yeah, I'm sorry. What did I say?
IPO, I think.
IPO.
You're
No,
stuck on going
I'm
public.
back in New
You're
York.
stuck on going public.
I'm back in New York at the summit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But how does the Founders Club actually differ in the way that you're structuring what you do conversationally as well as relationally?
It's a great question. A lot of what we do originally started virtually. So YPO is very in person, which is a big part of what we do now. But our ability is to put the right people in the right room, regardless of where you live, which is quite important, because just because you live in Nashville, Tennessee, doesn't mean that the 7 or 8 best people that you should be spending the most amount of time with also happen to live in Nashville, Tennessee, right? What we do is we do have our forums, we do have our community events, we have our big moments where people come together, whether it's our retreats. But what we do is we curate the crowd virtually first, and then we support it with local. So, for my example, in my own mastermind, we have three members that two of them are in Dubai and one of them are in Tel Aviv. And we get on every single month for 2 hours and we're able to get really deep. And these people have incredible communities that I get to learn from so quickly. And if I was, I'm here now at this moment, I'm in Miami, Florida. And if I was only bound to the entrepreneurs that were here, there's amazing entrepreneurs, but maybe they're not the best for what I'm doing right now. So the doors are open. It really is an international community. The next part is we are only founders. So YPO is the Young Presidents Organization, a lot of amazing CEOs, CMOs, executives. In our case, we are only the founders. No C-suite is in the club, no executives, no hired guns, none of that. You have to be the founder because our ethos is deeply rooted in no matter how high up the food chain you are, the founder just carries a different type of weight on their shoulders. And the idea of putting people around like-minded individuals is actually being like-minded and feeling the same pressures every single day. So there's a couple key differences there. And we're a tight-knit group. There's 350 of us now, probably going to be a few thousand in a few years, but I think this core group is going to appreciate the original 3, 4, 500 for a really long time, and it's really special every day to be with this community. And one of our members just sold his company last week, and we were able to all collectively celebrate with them. And I remember when I sold my company, I freaked out and moved back into my mom's basement because I didn't know what to do. So it's good to have the right people around you.
Absolutely. A different spin on the Tiger 21 Club and
Mhm.
other groups as such. Aaron, we definitely need to coordinate and collaborate on what we're doing with our events and especially our VIP things that we do for high level executive in that space. When you get home to San Diego, make sure that you reach out. We're in Southern California and we'd love to meet in person and figure out how we can help each other. We'll have you back on other shows as well. Thanks for your patience.
Thank
And
you.
anyone looking for the right people, the right ideas, check out the Founders Club, #1 community for high growth founders. If you're in such a position, reach out to Aaron Spivak, Spivak.com. Thanks, Aaron. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron.
I don't feel so bad. It's 8 o'clock in Miami.
Yeah, I was going to, whew, we dodged
Exactly.
that bullet.
Well, Andrew's here. We are almost caught up back on time. He is a management professor at McCombs School of Business and at the great UT Austin and the CEO of Ping Group. Welcome, Andrew, to Office Hours.
Great. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Thanks for being on. And, really interested in your new book. Came out in February called Ping, which is appropriate as CEO of Ping Group. And we were just talking about the differentiator between, you weren't here yet, but we were talking, Blaine and I, of the majority of the business that Blaine and I did was in person because the only form of virtual communication was a landline. And we just had a in-person, as we filmed Office Hours, the TV show at the Wynn in our beautiful studios there with SiriusXM, how different virtual communication is today because it's so ubiquitous, where before it was very cumbersome and obtuse and also very limited when you have to go onto a landline. And we're old enough, Andrew, that you didn't even have call. When I got my first calling card, I know most of the kids listening are like, what the F is a calling card? I was super excited to be able to type in 26 numbers and make a phone call from anywhere on a landline. That was, the exceptional technology of virtual communication. I really enjoy what you're talking about, and you break this virtual communication today into 3 different parts. I was hoping you could tell me about those components and the capabilities in virtual communication.
Yeah, and it's a great point you make. And I think one of the big things that everyone's missing these days is there's so many conversations about remote work. Is it good? Is it bad? Should we do hybrid? And what everyone's missing is that it doesn't matter where you work from anymore, whether home, the office, anywhere in between. we're now all virtual communicators. The old way in the office was you'd go knock on someone's door or go to their cubicle anytime you had a question. Now, even if someone's just a few feet away, we're sending an instant message or a Slack message. And it's not necessarily just a bad thing, because the old way was you'd interrupt anyone in the office anytime you had a question. Now with technology, we kind of have this ability to allow them to finish whatever they're doing. But to your question about how to define this, in the book, I talk about overall communication richness, which is how close is it to in-person interactions or not. And there's a number of characteristics that underlie this, but there's two main ones that researchers talk about. One is cue variety. So how similar is the nonverbal behavior to in-person? What are the amount of nonverbal cues? And the other one is synchronicity. So how real time is the interaction? So email, very asynchronous; in person, very synchronous. And something important to remember about these categories is that even small differences can be quite meaningful. So for instance, you're having a lot of conversations via video now. It's slightly less synchronous than in person due to data transfer speeds happening over the internet, which is why on video calls, there's often a lot of those awkward pauses or no, you go first, you're interrupting each other. So even slight variations in these things can be quite meaningful.
Yeah, full duplex coming from Samsung, and then
Yeah.
in '99, and then Nextel, which I think Blaine worked with in some variety in the telecom industry as well. That was what was so remarkable about virtual communication, was the first full duplex where you could interrupt someone. Now
Yeah.
we're talking about a latency of moments, and it's an inhibitor of communication. Go ahead, Blaine.
Yeah, yeah, I'm fascinated with this, Andrew. Yeah, David mentioned Nextel. I also did a huge body of work with Nokia
Yeah.
back in the late 1990s, mid 1990s up through about early of 2010. Yeah, I was with him about 15 years as an external consultant, and we were
He was old
one of
then. Imagine now.
yeah, truly. But I hooked up with Jessica Lipnack. I don't know if you know Jessica at all, but she and her husband, her late husband, wrote a book that was one of the very first treatises on virtual communication, asynchronous communication with remote teams. And I hooked up with them because we were beginning to put together remote teams, and we were attempting at that point, and this is probably about 98, to do it through asynchronous communication, which we were trying to do some video. They were doing some video work in the labs. But we had teams that were comprised of people, in Singapore, in Finland, in US, in in Dubai. And it was bloody difficult. Be precise about it. Bloody difficult. The asynchronicity of it. How did and also the cultural distinctions. English was the working language, but it wasn't native to almost anybody that was using it. And in the work that you've done, in the research that you've done, how does that actually begin to get mediated so that appropriate meaning is created so that people have a basis to move forward from? And I focus on that word meaning, appropriate meaning.
So, part of our issue with virtual interactions is, by most standards, humans have been interacting in person for well over 100,000 years. If you look at how long we've been interacting virtually, it's this thin sliver of time. We haven't evolved to be good at it. So as a result, it just comes less naturally to us. But just because it's not as good naturally doesn't mean it can't be as good. You just need to take more initiative to fill in what's missing. So people often say this mode is missing this mode is missing that, and just accept it as fact, as opposed to saying, hey, maybe we can infuse something extra in here. As an example, I often get the question is in-person communication best or not? And the answer is it doesn't have to be. If you think about two friends, one friend you see 3 times a year, so once every 4 months, and you see them in person for 3 hours. The other friend, you send one text back and forth every single day. Which friend are you closer to? The one that you text every single day, or the one you see for 3 hours in person once every 4 months? Most people are going to say it's that one you text every single day. But if you think about the time you put into each, sending one text every day is probably less than those 3 hours you spend in person and driving back and forth there. So there's an example where frequency ends up being more important than the actual richness of the communication. So yes, having a single text interaction is not going to be as rich or meaningful as an in-person interaction. But if you think about, well, what are the strengths of text-based communication, is it's easier. We can do it quicker. And so there you can leverage the frequency to not only make up for the lack of richness in person, but to actually have more, because that frequency ends up being more important in that case.
Andrew, it's so interesting, as we have to have you back. And I get down to UT every year, mostly to speak on the sports side with Chris Del Conte and Sark and Kyle Flood and my boys. So hook 'em horns beyond my Oregon fan up there, which I get to there as well. Oregon. And then Ohio State. So I get all the competitors, but I love when I get down there to speak with your class and you about communication. One of the interesting things that I've really lean into in the quantum field, and I know you're a PhD from Harvard Business School, and understanding quantum communication in the aspect of virtuality. This idea of 2 minutes a day could be worth more than 2 hours on a Saturday. And this truly healed my relationship with my own mother. I've been very proactively promoting the fact that, and my mom passed about a month ago, that for 18 years, I called, emailed, or texted my mom every day that I'm happy, I'm healthy, I love you, and I appreciate you. And I still do. I have her phone right here and still keep it on my plan. And I text her every day knowing that she gets it now, and actually her mental capability is better now to get that message every day in a quantum way. But it's so important to communicate and understand communication is not just in person or a landline or any other aspects of it. It's understanding that everything we do takes consistent, persistent practice. And we want to make people feel a certain way. That's what creates this relativity. So if you're interested in workplace technology, communication, and productivity, there's the award-winning professor down at UT. I would highly suggest you go to the Ping Group, go to Brodsky.com, get that book, study how we can be more productive. That means how we can provide more value to other people. And Andrew, I really look forward to doing more. I know Blaine does as well. Thanks for joining us.
Great. Thanks for having me on.
Great having you here.
Say hi to all the UT guys. We're blessed. One of the world's best professors, well equipped from Wharton and Harvard to give us a little bit of insight and perspective that other people may not have done the work to give us. He certainly has. Well, now we can feel even less guilty, Blaine, because our friend here is from Frankfurt, Germany. So she has not woke up early to see us. And her name is Ray Wessel. Ray is here.
Hello. How are you, David? Hi, Blaine.
Fantastic.
Hello, Ray.
Well, Blaine is my chancellor of the Napoleon Hill Institute, and we are blessed to have our friend, a writer and founder of the Institute for Thought Leadership. And I can't imagine there's not great synergies between our Napoleon, as chairman of the Napoleon Hill Institute, our institute, the Napoleon Hill Institute, and the Institute for Thought Leadership. So we're excited to have you on here to talk about thought leadership and its function today in this, as Andrew suggests, this hyper complex workplace and world that we live in. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you. And I'm a native Texan as well, so I enjoyed hearing Andrew's comments.
Nice.
Yes.
Good. Yeah, it's funny because when I meet people from Germany, one of my favorite jokes is, "Oh, is that accent from South Texas?" Now it is. It's amazing. But more importantly, let's talk about something especially that you and Blaine have such a high level of subject matter and topic expertise in, is the idea of thought leadership. And as you're a consultant in this space, as Blaine is as well for so many years. What is thought leadership to create this institute? Because I think a lot of people just overlook when they hear thought leadership. I don't think they really think about what we're talking about.
Yeah, very often people just move to leadership, right? I'm like, no, thought leadership's different.
Yes.
Thought leadership is being known for what you know, and that is if you are an individual or if you're an organization. And the way to do that is to harvest your best thinking, get your ideas out there, and like be setting the agenda in your niche, and you're publishing a lot. And so my background is as a writer, wrote as a freelancer for New York Times, BBC, Wall Street Journal, also on staff at different organizations. And I moved into the thought leadership space because I love ideas. And I believe that we, as a humanity, we have all of the solutions that we actually need to solve the big problems. I just feel they're stuck in some expert's head very often. I had a couple of encounters like this on my journey where I was like, whoa, why haven't I heard of that? And so that's why I founded the Institute for Thought Leadership, is to help people with deep subject matter expertise be heard, in a public arena where it's really difficult to be heard because some people are hogging the microphone, and it's loud and there's a lot of noise and there's not a lot of substance. So I'm working to counter that.
Beautiful.
And countering it, I think, must be part of the heavy lift there, because I'm thinking, setting up a thought leadership function in a company, in a firm, in an organization, where you have a clash of egos. You mentioned somebody wanting the microphone, and typically the leader, titular leader, has got the biggest microphone and access to the microphone, just whenever he or she wants it. In the work that you do at helping organizations actually set up a function, a viable function where subject matter experts can actually have a voice, what are some of the major hoops that you find you have to guide people through in order to get it landed, so that now they have something that is actually, working for them, as opposed to, well, that's kind of a nice idea, let's see what happens with it?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Blaine. Thought leadership and setting up a thought leadership function, it is a change program in your organization, and it requires as much engagement and pain and suffering as this other change engage
Initiatives.
Initiatives, right? So the thing is, marketing can be on the side of the thought leadership program, or it could also be threatened by it. So if it's a smaller firm, you have to really consider and take time to educate that, look, we're enabling our subject matter experts because that's where innovation comes from, because they have the client contact, and we need fresh ideas, and fresh ideas don't always exist exclusively in the C-suite. And so marketing benefits a lot from thought leadership, but it can sometimes be threatened. Let's say that's one issue. You asked about other hoops. Some companies have the problem of getting too much content from their subject matter experts. So it's like, whoa, what am I going to do with this? Everyone thinks they've got a great idea and it should be published immediately by the company, but it's too much and it's not refined. And then others that I've worked with are getting too little content from their experts, and they're doing things like pay the experts to write an article, right? So there's that gap between there. And we do a lot of training and skills enablement and helping the experts learn to articulate the idea in a journalistic way so that it's accessible, and how to take the idea and make sure it's fresh. right? Don't tell me AI is here to stay and your company needs an AI strategy. That might have been interesting 4 years ago, but now it's an old story. But obviously you need an AI strategy. You get the idea. So those are some of the things to think about when setting up a program.
Yeah, and your subject matter expertise is the articulation of that value, which is so lost within the context of engineers and entrepreneurs and doctors, lawyers, and other people, that they have all these amazing thoughts, but they are not capable or well rehearsed or practiced in articulating that value, especially to exceed sometimes what they're asking for. And then they wonder why nobody gets their idea. Nobody is moving or executing on their idea because they haven't done the final. It's like ordering from Amazon and it's stuck in Riverside here in California at the host location, and you wonder why your package is never coming. That last mile that's so important. You'll never get the package, the present, the value, unless you're able and capable of doing so. And you specifically are one of the world's best in helping thought leaders to articulate it via journalistic capabilities and writing. One of the things I think is fabulous about understanding the true nature of journalism, it bodes and aligns with my favorite quote, which is to be more interested than interesting. And if you can help people to articulate the interested, not just the interesting, we really can provide more value to more people. Check out the Institute for Thought Leadership. Ray Wessel will help you articulate your thoughts and your leadership to be able to function better and to articulate that value at a higher and clearer level, which creates a wider spectrum and a stronger signal, both which will be well equipped to help more people. Ray Wessel, thank you so much for joining us. Please let us know when you're back in the States, or we have other shows to elevate the Institute for Thought Leadership, and we definitely will see these synergies with the Napoleon Hill Institute. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, David. Nice to see you, Blaine.
Thank you, Ray. You bet.
Thank
you.
Great job.
Good job. Good job.
I find it fascinating in the energetic portal how, Aaron was a little bit late, so we started off with a conversation, and I don't look at the guests. As you know, we went through 72 interviews in 2 days at the studio, the SiriusXM studios at the Wynn, to do our TV show. But I like to be naturally surprised when Jay Abraham comes on, or Les Brown comes on, or Cameron Diaz comes on, or the other day Ray Paterno comes on, Jay Paterno, Joe Paterno's son, whoever it is, and I'm always amazed the frequency that these producers of ours. I don't even know how every single person is relative to that. It's like we purposely built this thematic show about communication, today, which will lead me. I was wondering your takeaway of the day, because they're so synergistic, these guys.
Communication. I mean, I was kind of like, you go down the list of these three, and it's like, we couldn't have curated this. And I keep using that word curated. It's evidently in my lexicon right now. I'm not sure what's going on here, but there's something about curating experience, curating ideas, just paying attention, mindful attention to what it is that you're trying to produce. And if there's a takeaway for me today, it's going to be about that. I mean, whether it's thought leadership, whether it's about surrounding myself with like-minded entrepreneurs, or whether it's how do I actually curate a qualitative communication exchange virtually. It's all about curation, and I don't think people pay attention to that. I know that people don't pay attention to that. It's something that you do extraordinarily well. And we were talking about this before we went live. Just the community that you have curated. Since, and I remember when you started, right after when you were moving away from Sports One marketing, and what do you want to do with this? I want to curate a community that facilitates, makes it this notion of make a lot of money, have a lot of fun, impact a lot of people. How do you do that? You have curated that, and it's not an easy task. So I was going to use communication as my takeaway. I'm going to use curation as my takeaway today.
I love it. And mine's going to then revert back to consistent communication. If you look at what Aaron was talking about in this consistency, his founders club is growing. And he said, we have 300 people now today. We'll have thousands in the future. And that's through consistent communication. Obviously, Andrew, an expert in communication, really fascinating. Would love and hopefully we'll be able to meet him in person and have him on more shows. But he really understands in this new world of communication that consistency and that we really, there's different value. And it's the same as human beings, right? There's different values. We just need to appreciate the difference between text, phone calls, emails, traditional media, social media communication. And I think that's so important to appreciate the differences. And he was one of the first guests I've had that really articulated that well. And then, of course, with the Thought Leadership Institute and Ray Wessel, consistent communication in the journalistic writing capabilities of communication. So consistent communication. Make sure you're reaching out to your moms. Tell them that you're happy, healthy, love them, and appreciate them. You will heal any of the mommy issues that you definitely have. That's my go broke plan. If anything ever should happen economically in the world, you will see David Meltzer's mommy issue program. I figure I will address the biggest community if necessary to help people. And I will have no shortage of people interested at the very least in healing their mommy issues. I gave up the goods right away. Just make sure you call, email, text your mom, whether dead or alive. I am happy, I'm healthy, I love you and appreciate. Blaine Bartlett, if I can tell you, I am happy, I am healthy, I love you and appreciate you forever. Thank you so much for everything you do.
Back at you, my friend. You're my brother. Love you.
Love you. Thank you. At Blaine Bartlett, he will take the possibilities and make them into reality. He's my mentor. People ask me all the time, who's your mentor? Blaine Bartlett. That's it. Go get him. All right. Anyways, reach out to us. I'm back at home. We'll be in San Diego tomorrow doing a meetup. Come and join us. We'll be at SoFi Stadium. Also filming Go Fund Yourself next week. Also having a VIP dinner in Los Angeles. Come and join us. Taking the red eye to New York. Meetup holding court. And also a VIP dinner in New York City. Then over to Chicago, keynote, meetup, holding court, and VIP dinner. Same thing, we'll run it back to Vancouver, Minnesota, and Atlanta. We're gonna be in over 200 cities talking about communication and curation. Whether it's free, group, or one-on-one, you gotta join our curated groups of people that are at your frequency. The one requirement is you better be a person that wants to help one another and knows people that will help one another. David at dmeltzer.com. David at dmeltzer.com. If you want to be invited, not obligated. So if you don't like invitations and feel obligated, resentful, guilty, offended when people invite you to things, do not join this community. This community is a frequency of people that want to be invited and don't feel obligated. My number to text to join that community, to be invited over 200 events, 200 in 1 year, 949-298-2905. Invited, not obligated. This is David Meltzer. Remember, be more interested than interesting. Be kind to your future self. Do good deeds. We'll see you tomorrow. Hit it, GG.